Why is this thing blocking up the walkway? And it's on private property. What is that? 1061 Ponce Leon Avenue.
Are basically software platforms that are they're not limited by the laws of physics. They're not limited by scale. They're not bricks and mortar. Now, here's the thing. I'm not anti bricks and mortar. You know, my father made his livelihood by building bricks and mortar. We still develop. We still invest in bricks and mortar. But as a business, software is eating the world. And so to deny that is to approach death.
Okay, just about 30 seconds. Do you see any likely scenarios for U.S. debt management?
Man, I really wish I had something better to end on. No, I don't, and that's the sad thing. But here's what I do see. Let me end on a positive thing. I really hope that the election that's coming up is going to force people to do a little bit of math. I know that math is not fun for everybody like it is for me, but you got to do it. How about this? The U.S. government spent in August enough to pay every voter about $8,000 in that month. What would you do with that $8,000? Do you think the government did a good job with it? That's the question you got to ask yourself.
All right,
they
BJ,
didn't.
thanks for the discussion today.
Thank you, man.
Instead of deporting one drug-dealing illegal, Kamala picked him for a jobs program, a job he couldn't legally hold, helping clear his criminal record. Kamala's hand-picked illegal then nearly killed a woman. It could have been prevented, but Kamala put her liberal values ahead of our safety.
My values have not changed.
That's what scares us. Kamala is dangerously liberal. Make America Great Again Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Thank you. And if you'd like to fill out an adoption application for Gianna, visit angelsrescue.org or go to fox5atlanta.com, navigate to the Good Day section, and click on Pet of the Day. Stay with us. We're going to be right back.
Avoiding campfire smoke is hard.
Is this for real?
Hiring
in the process of getting away from the dollar. So you're not seeing it right now because the dollar is still the world's global currency. It's the safest asset. It's liquid. You can spend it anywhere. But 5-10 years from now, it might not be the only one that can say that.
All right, as an investor, which sectors do you think will be most impacted by the debt and interest payments?
I think ultimately the debt is going to just cause more inflation. And that's what kind of concerns me, Don, because inflation is the thing that's kind of erasing the middle class and it's creating a society of the haves and the have-nots. The haves have assets. The inflation will push up the value of those assets. The have-nots just have bills. And sadly, because they don't own assets, their bills are just going to rise faster than their wages. And that's what we have to fix. The only two ways to fix that is through early financial literacy, so education. And then we got to stop printing all this money and we got to stop spending it so we don't need to print as much.
For EV batteries. While Republicans showed unity on this bill, cracks are showing on another. The week ended on a sour note for House Republican leadership after they were forced to yank a bill from the floor lacking their own party's support.
People have 1,000 sensors. That's more than 20% of its total staff. China will allow wholly foreign-owned hospitals in 9 regions, including the capital Beijing. The change seeks to attract more foreign investment to help boost China's weakening economy.
Anybody wants to invest in China.
A document on China's Commerce Ministry website described the new policy as a... And there are several parts to this. One part is how this relates to the Chinese Communist Party's existing operations to get its forces deployed under the United Nations, what they call peacekeeping operations, the UN peacekeepers. The CCP is using that to bring its agents to other countries to carry out that role. It's using the United Nations as a vehicle for that. Another ties into the Chinese Communist Party's influence over Interpol, the international police, which the CCP has headed for a long time and even punished people before for not enforcing the CCP's interests through Interpol. And another is related to the Chinese Communist Party's agenda to create a new security group within the Eurasian region, something was pushing recently at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Again, tying into what we discussed before about the creation of the Eurasian Empire, controlling the Eurasian region. Now, look, this also ties in other projects, including the Chinese Communist Party's use of secret police stations. You might remember the news. The CCP was establishing these secret police stations in New York City and other parts of the U.S. and other countries around the world, running police operations openly in these countries in some cases, enforcing CCP's laws, harassing dissidents, while again trying to stay away from the normal authorities of the country. This is
Georgia is not blue.
Well, still to come on Fox 5
Never
News
has
at
been.
11. The astronauts who have been stranded on the International Space Station since June, finally speaking for the first time. What they have to say after the break.
Deported once before. Kamala Harris was supposed to get the border secure. Kamala and a Democrats' policies allowed the killer back in. I lost my sister. There's no reason why these kids should not have a mother. It just breaks my heart. The last thing that we need is more of Kamala Harris.
Right for America is responsible for the content of this ad.
It was under control during the Trump administration, well below $3 a gallon, 35% jump in home prices, folks.
Even CNN admits it.
When it comes to the economy, groceries were less expensive, housing was more affordable when Donald Trump was president.
Yet Harris still says,
Bidenomics is working.
no, it isn't.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message. We can afford.
There is no middle class.
Responsible for the content of this ad. This is a job you
I have children. August 5th, 2023. She met a monster, a criminal, illegal immigrant that raped and murdered her. He was already deported once before. Kamala Harris was supposed to get the border secure. Kamala and the Democrats' policies allowed the killer back in. I lost my sister. There's no reason why these kids should not have a mother. It just breaks my heart. The last thing that we need is more of Kamala Harris.
Right for America is responsible for the content of
Instead of deporting one drug-dealing illegal, Kamala picked him for a jobs program, a job he couldn't legally hold, helping clear his criminal record. Kamala's hand-picked illegal then nearly killed a woman. It could have been prevented, but Kamala put her liberal values ahead of our safety.
My values have not changed.
That's what scares us. Kamala is dangerously liberal. Make America great.
Here in Atlanta, as a new rideshare option is coming to town. Uber says they have partnered with Waymo to offer customers a driverless alternative starting next year.
Oh
Some locals say
my
they're still
God.
skeptical about not having a real driver behind the wheel for safety reasons, but they're interested in learning more about how it works.
not really knowing how well they function in a city like this with a lot of traffic and things are condensed, the streets are constantly changed. Kind of interested to see how it navigates the Atlanta traffic in the Atlanta area.
Yeah, it seems like actually a good opportunity for women who don't feel comfortable with their Uber driver or Lyft driver. Overall, I would prefer to have like a human driver.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will be interested to see. Waymo already operates self-driving cars in San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Phoenix. Friday, the company announced expanding to Atlanta and Austin.
I've been seeing them ride around.
Public here sometime next year. All right.
They're already here.
A live look for you on this Saturday night here. Pretty rainy throughout most of the day. The clouds were there. Back now in the Weather Center is Fox 5 Storm Team.